Hello friends, welcome to the Jazz Ranch. I'm going to be talking about songwriting, and I want to talk about what I would call 3 essential ingredients of a good song. And they may seem obvious to you, but I'm going to talk about them in detail. First of all, number 1, melody. In other words, the melody of the song. Number 2, the harmony or the chord progression. And number 3, the lyrics. Now, it's obvious those are the 3 most important ingredients, but I'm going to talk about them in a specific way and some tips around these 3 categories. So, I've been an accompanist to singers for years. I've written songs myself, both lyrics and music, and so I know something about it. And, it's a wide category between whether it be rock, folk, pop, jazz, American Songbook. There's so many categories for this, but I'm going to be taking the song Windmills of My Mind, which won the Academy Award for the best song in 1968. I'm going to talk about that song and play it for you and break it down for you, and then talk about some ideas about songwriting. Here we go. Hello, welcome to the Jazz Ranch studio. I'm going to be talking about the song Windmills of My Mind as an example of a great composition and how to learn to write music, be a songwriter, based on 3 essential ingredients of songwriting, which I think are fairly simplistic, but I'm going to go into them in detail. First one being a good melody, write a good melody. Number 2, have a good chord progression or harmony below that melody, and then have a good set of lyrics. All those 3 things are essential. Now, within a good melody, how do you write a good melody? Well, one thing is to write something that has a nice line to it. Like, for instance, a good example would be Fly Me to the Moon. It goes like this. In other words, it has a descending line down the scale, then back up, then skips up, and then descends again. then it goes up, jumps up, descends, goes up again, skips, and then comes back down. So in other words, ascending motion, descending motion in scales and skips create a balance or a good melody. It's more to it than that, of course, but I mean, let's take an example of a very simple song and what's going on with it, like this. Frere Jacques. That much of it, what's happening? Repetition, right? Repeated. And then up, then repeated. So it has a memorable phrase, this, and then an answer to it, and repetition. So in other words, that memorable phrase is what I'll call the motive or the motif, whichever you like, whichever term you like. In other words, it's a important phrase that's memorable, has an interesting shape to it, melodically, and you can latch onto it. You know, in terms of pop music, it would be something like, that's the way I like it, that's the way, I like it, you know, something like that. Something that you can latch onto and sing along with. That's what you want. Now, this is not a song that you're going to sing along with, not Windmills of My Mind. However, it does have a memorable phrase, and it's this. There. Now, that's a lot of eighth notes for a melody, but that's all right. And it repeats. Remember, I said repetition, so it repeats. So it's just repeating the phrase over and over again. And it's following a chord progression. Now, here's the thing. When he wrote this song, you might ask, well, did he write the melody first or the chords first? Well, happen to know that he wrote the chord progression first. How do I know that? Because I looked it up. In other words, he presented this song to the lyricists, the Bergmans, and he gave them a number of choices for the melody. And he had the chord progression worked out. Now, the chord progression is something that is not that complicated. You know, it's just the one chord. We're now in the key of E minor, which is relative to G major. It has one sharp. So it goes like this. The E minor chord, then it goes to the 5 chord, the B7, then it goes B7 back to the 1 chord, the E minor, then the E minor dominant moving to the 4 chord, then moving to the 3 chord, then moving to the 2 chord, and then the 5, and then the 1. Now I'm talking in E minor now. So 1, 5, 1. 4, 3, 2, 5, 1. So what is that? That's a cycle of fifths. So that's the second ingredient of writing a good song. First is melody, and have some kind of memorable phrase in there that repeats in some way and you can latch onto and remember. Secondly, a good strong chord progression, which means something that follows the cycle of fifths. Now that is not a hard, fast rule, but let's just say we'll start with that. Learn the cycle of fifths and learn how to write a good chord progression based on that. Because I mean, right here you have it in this song. You have A minor going to D minor, which is 2, 5, 1, 2, 5, 1 in C. So that's following the cycle of fifths. Then it goes to 4. Then it goes to 5, 5, 1 back to A minor. So you've got that cycle of fifth in that song, that much of it. Just those first few bars of the melody, you have the cycle of fifths working. And in most songs you have it working in some way. Not all songs, but let's take this one, Moon River. Moon, right there, river. There's your catchphrase or your hook. You know, in pop music we call it the hook. In American Songbook we call it the motive or the motif, whichever you like. Now here it is again. Here it is again. There it is again. There it is again. Here it is again. There it is again. You see, so you keep hearing that. You keep hearing that little phrase appearing over and over again. Makes you remember the song, remember the melody, and make the melody significant and important. And the other thing is, you know, about melody writing is if you write diatonically as opposed to chromatically, it's going to be more easy to sing and more easy to remember. So that means you stay within the scale of the key that you're in. So this song, Moon River, stays right in the key of C. All these notes are in the C scale. I'm sorry. You may not think it, but they are. It's because the chord progression is outside of the C system that makes the melody sound like it's moving around into different places other than the, what's going on here? Other than the key of C. But this is all in the key of C. You see, so it's all in the key of C. All notes are in the key of C and not outside of it. So that makes it singable and memorable. Now, getting into the lyrics. Now, when the Bergmans were presented with this song by Michel Legrand, this one, and they chose that melody over a simpler melody that might have been this. They chose this one. Sounds very Baroque or Bacchish, right? You know, Baroque. That's really a Baroque sounding melody. Now, they chose that because they wanted to write something in a stream of consciousness. So they chose this, like a circle in a spiral, like a wheel within a wheel, never ending or beginning. On an ever-spinning wheel like a snowball down a mountain, or a carnival balloon like a carousel that's turning, running rings around the moon like a clock whose hands are sweeping past the minutes on its face, and the world is like an apple whirling silently in space, like the circles that you find in the windmills of your mind. That's a stream of consciousness lyric, and these are superb lyricists that have great imagination that can write these kind of lyrics. So that's the third ingredient, is having great lyrics. Now, very few people are able to write music and lyrics with that level of proficiency. There's only maybe people like Irving Berlin, Cole Porter, you know, Billy Joel. I mean, people that are exceptional that can write both lyrics. You know, Joni Mitchell, people that could write lyrics and music on a very high level are exceptional. So basically you want to get a hold of a poet, someone who writes lyrics, knows how to write lyrics. They're different than writing poetry or writing prose. They're a unique way of writing in which there's the rhyme factor, but also inner rhymes that occur within phrases. You know, when there's a repeating line melodically, they'll write the rhyme factor into that. So having a team of a composer and a lyricist is the ultimate goal. I would say, if you want to write music, write songs, is to have a partner who is a lyricist. If you're the composer, and if you're the lyricist, have a composer. someone who knows music and knows music theory and has an idea of how to write good melody. Now, writing good melody takes a certain kind of talent, you know, an ear for music. May not come, most people have it naturally, I think, to some degree. But there you have the three ingredients, and you know, look at other songs as well. Like another good one is The Shadow of Your Smile. You know, it has a repeating. And see that repeating line? It's very clever, but that repeating line is still in there. And the other one by Michel Legrand is from this one, The Summer Knows. Yeah, I have it here. Let me get it for you. This one, from the summer of '42. You see, the clever balance of the motive being, and then repeating, and then varying it on a different level, and then varying it enough so that it's just not so repetitious. You want to get a good balance between repetition and new ideas. So I hope you enjoyed this, and we will continue with this subject in something more in depth. But that's a beginning for songwriting. Three ingredients: the melody, the harmony, and the lyrics. So we'll have a sign off. Signing off from the Jazz Ranch. Thanks so much for tuning in today. I want to give you a little shout out on my book. This is my book called Jazz Piano Methods and Songbook for Professional Playing. I've sold thousands of copies. I have a special sale going on right now. If you buy my book, you'll get my 140-page appendix of exercises for free. All you have to do is order my book through my website and then write to me, and my email address is below, and I will send that to you directly to your email. So please check out the videos I've made on both books so you can see everything that's inside them. Where can you go and see a complete inside of a book on a video? Only here at the Jazz Ranch. So thanks for tuning in today. Please give me a comment. I love to hear from you. I always answer all comments. You'll see that I do answer all comments if you give me enough time. And until next time, in the words of my great friend upstairs, Hermie Dressel, I'll say, swing loose. We'll see you next time around. Be cool. Bye-bye.